There's a lot of speculation about what this conference could be on Friday, potentially a plea deal. It could, of course, could be something else. But what's your feeling about what Friday could be about?
It could be about a lot of things, but if in fact it's a plea deal, it goes to the timing. And why is that so important? Because the state case is set to go to trial September 8th. Now, the federal case is not set to go to trial until January. But we also have to remember that there's double jeopardy, and it's a very complex legal thing. And what it means is that someone cannot be tried twice for the same crime. But there are some exceptions under the law. And so in this case, since he is being charged in the federal criminal aspect of things, that it's really important to note that if, in fact, there's a plea deal in the federal case, then defendants could potentially make an argument that there no longer should be the state case. In other words, that case could potentially be dismissed.
So in terms of why a plea deal would come up at this point, is this because his defense team doesn't believe that they can, defeat the federal government when it comes to the evidence against Mangione? I mean, it is on video.
Usually in criminal cases, I think the statistics is that 99% in New York federal court cases do not go to trial, that they work out some kind of plea deal. But I think it's important to remember, in a court of law, you are innocent until you are proven guilty.
True. And
the prosecution has the burden, and so they must prove every single element of the crime.
Mm-hmm. So in the federal case, if he is found guilty, he faces up to life in prison. So what kind of plea deal are we looking at in terms of the terms of a plea deal if he were to get sentencing rather than of harsher punishment?
It could be an open plea deal, and what that means is that there's no set parameters in regards to the punishment, or it could be a recommendation. The prosecution could say that the plea deal is that we recommend a certain amount of time. Now, ultimately, it's going to go in front of the federal judge, and the judge will hear arguments as well and look at the guidelines and then ultimately decide. Now, the judge could reject the plea deal. The judge could accept the plea deal as well. So that is important to remember, because even if there's a plea deal, the judge might say, no, I disagree with this plea deal.
And is there a point where Mangione's legal defense could pull back their own plea, or once it's in, it's over?
I think it depends on a lot of things in regards to the plea deal itself. Now, it's important to remember we have also the state case as well going on. So if in fact there's a plea deal and something goes on in the state case where it's not dismissed, then potentially the defense counsel could say, okay, well, we're going to pull this plea deal depending on what exactly happens in the case.
All right, well, we will be watching that Friday, but let's move to another case. Nick Reiner was indicted on 2 counts of murder and the stabbing death of his parents, filmmaker Rob Reiner and Michele Reiner. This indictment alleges he committed the murder by means of lying in wait. So what does that mean for people who don't know the legalese of that?
So the prosecution brings the case and has the burden. And in California, under murder, it needs to be first-degree murder, planned, premeditated murder. Lying in waiting helps substantiate the prosecution's case, because if you're lying in waiting, you have planned something. It's premeditated. But not only, it also heightens the level of the punishment. And so what that means is, in California, since it's a heightened element, the death penalty is on the table. So the prosecutor has the option to potentially charge the death penalty in this case, but they can also use it potentially as a bargaining tool for a plea deal, saying, okay, we're going to take this off the table, but you're going to spend the rest of your life in jail.
So in terms of his defense, what is he arguing about? How, what is his defense for this case, given the charges from the prosecutor, or the charges and what the prosecution is arguing?
As of right now, he's entered a plea of not guilty. And I think that's why he did it. It's from like a strategy standpoint, because what's important to remember, there was a grand jury that indicted him, and that was done in secret. So he doesn't know what exact evidence the prosecution has. So as of right now, he can get all that evidence, and then potentially later on, make a change in the plea and say, okay, not guilty by reason of insanity as well. But that's going to be a high burden in California for him to prove that.
All right, well, two very different cases, but Kelly Hyman, thank you so much for joining us and breaking it down. We appreciate it.